Hello, Long Take listeners. The next 5 episodes were all recorded in the middle of February. A couple of them were recorded before the Oscars, and then the last 2 episodes were recorded after the Oscars. Episode 10 and 11 is Justyn and I recounting our top 10 movies of 2014, and then episode 12 will be our 2015 preview. But here's the thing. We wanted to do a 2015 preview and our top 10 movies of 2014 in one episode. And as you know, this show is called The Long Take after all. And it wound up being 3 episodes. It's insane. But, you know, when we get talking about our favorite movies or even movies we're looking forward to, we just kind of... And it's not like I could just edit it down. If I tried editing it down, it would just kind of sound all broken up and weird. So, no, there are 3 separate episodes. I'll be using this particular recording to tie in anything that may otherwise be confusing without any help. Without further ado, this is episode 10, the first part of our top 10 movies of 2014 list. And action. Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Long Take. I am Kenneth Guidry, reporting live, at least at the moment, in not LA, but Orange County, California. Woo! It's really, really exciting. No, I like living here. Anyway, and I'm staring at him through a laptop screen. Through the laptop screen and in another world. Most likely the same world that I'm in, but I can't prove that. As far as I know, you're just a part of my laptop. And you're not actually part of this reality. You're part of a virtual reality. Just like that movie with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe. What was it called? I don't remember. But it's Justyn Moore. Justyn Moore. Say hello, everyone. Tell them where you're from. Tell them how cold it is.
You almost made it to 2 minutes, which would have determined that. I'm pretty sure you could do this podcast by yourself, man.
Hey, don't. I was just trying to give you a good intro.
That was a very good intro.
What the virtuosity?
There it is. Hello.
Right? Russell Crowe is only... right? Is Russell Crowe plays the bad guy, right?
I didn't see it.
Okay,
but it's
good.
Reminding me of the Johnny Depp movie that came out. What's it called? Transcendence?
Oh, Transcendence.
Yeah, kind of
yeah.
But no, I do
there
exist.
You go.
You just have to take my word for it. Hi, everybody. This is Justyn. I'm coming to you from... I'll just reveal the mystery. The city is Toms River, New Jersey, home of the Little League World Champions, if you remember that. That's what the city's known for. I was actually just driving around Jackson doing some shopping, and I saw that sign, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Little League World Champions, that's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, that happened.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah, I'm coming in. It's very cold here. It's a different world. You could say that. It's like, I don't know. I don't even... You were looking at the thermometer. It's, how cold is it over here?
Where you are, it's 27 degrees.
27. It's snowy and icy, and I haven't worn shorts in a while. You probably wore shorts today.
I'm wearing shorts right now because it's 71 degrees here.
Yeah, I'm wearing sweats and a wool hat.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to keep warm.
If you guys would like to hear more about what the clothes we're wearing, check out our side fashion podcast.
Yes. You're talking about all about the Kanye West collection, season 1.
Oh, yes. I mean, that was quite the collection. I'm not saying it was good or bad, but it was quite the collection.
Those fashion shows, they always have like crazy collections. Like Jana was talking about it, like, I don't know, would you wear any of that? I'm like, of course not. That's the idea. Like, fashion shows, you would never wear any of that stuff. But I don't know. I don't know how fashion works.
I know, but...
I can tell.
I know a little bit about fashion.
Our listeners can't see what you got. The green T-shirt. And, what do you got? Some plaid shorts?
Plaid? No.
Are they plaid? Are they jean shorts? Are they jorts?
Can you see it? This is going to get weird if I try to show you my shorts. All right. Because I'm not wearing any bottoms.
Anyway, what are we doing today, Ken?
All right. I said I was going to go right into it, but...
yeah.
We are going to talk about our top 10 movies of 2014. Yay.
Yeah.
I mean...
10 favorite movies of the year that just left us.
We finally have seen enough movies, or I have.
At least 10.
I've seen at least 10 movies, so I can definitely do this list. And
I love how you said that. We've seen enough, or at least I have.
Well, because the last time we talked, you were kind of complaining that you didn't see enough movies, that you can make a list of the top 10 movies that you haven't seen in 2014. You were really going on and on in text form. And I was like, all right, Justyn, all right. I mean, so you could still make a list, don't give me any excuses.
This was after I made my top 10 list, and I was just thinking about all the movies that I hadn't seen because I was looking at everything that's come out. It's like, I didn't want to see that. I wanted to see that. I want to see that.
But you know what? Those movies, that's why we have decades lists. Mm-hmm. Because there's a couple of movies on my decade list that I hadn't seen at the end of their respective years. Like a Separation. I saw that in 2013. I didn't see it in 2011. Or something else. I can't remember our list anymore. But yeah. So, hey, it's about the here and now. And right now, these are our top 10s. I compiled my list a little while ago, but it still stands in my mind. So I'm going to go right ahead into it. Now, in our previous episode, this is episode 10, by the way. We're in the double digits. Lots of sitcoms don't go past 6 episodes on NBC, at least. They get canceled. So, at least we're not. If we were on ABC, we wouldn't make it past the first minute. But I don't know why I'm talking about that. Anyway, in our previous episode,
previously on The Long Take,
I had mentioned that there weren't many great roles for women last year.
No.
At least not enough great ones for there to be a solid group, a solid list of nominations for Best Actress and Best Supporting Actress. That's why it seems like Julianne Moore is basically running away with it with Still Alice. That's why it seems like Patricia Arquette in Boyhood is deservedly, in my opinion, running away with it in Best Supporting Actress. But my number 10 movie of the year, its main protagonist is a female. It's Obvious Child with Jenny Slate, who plays a young woman in her 20s who has an abortion. That's pretty much... It's pretty hard in its subject matter. But what I love about Obvious Child is that it doesn't approach abortion in a super serious manner. I mean, a lot of people would say, well, it should. But I think, in my opinion, I think that gives off the impression that, and to contrast that, you think about a movie like Juno, where she decides not to have an abortion, and it's a romantic comedy. It's a romantic comedy that happens to feature teen pregnancy, right? Romantic in that she gets together with Michael Cera's character at the end, and they're all happy and strumming their acoustic guitars. Well, why can't Obvious Child also be a comedy and that feature an abort? Why should it be the complete opposite in emotions? Obviously, and what's great about Obvious Child is that it portrays her feelings and the difficulties of having an abortion very seriously, but it doesn't turn the tone into like an after-school special. It doesn't make it into something extremely serious and heartbreaking, like a Lifetime movie. No, it treats these characters like people. It treats what they're going through in a matter-of-fact, blunt tone, which I appreciate. It's very blunt. It's like, I have to have an abortion. There's all these other things going on in my life, and I have to have an abortion. And my life's going to continue after I have an abortion. It's not, it's not something that's going to ruin my life. It's a bad thing that's going to happen to me. It's an unfortunate thing, but I'm still here. I'm still going to be here after it, and I'm going to move on. Just like the millions of women who've moved on from having an abortion. So I think I say all that, and it's really a sweet comedy, and with really great, strong female characters. I mentioned Jenny Slate, who I think gave a wonderful, probably my favorite female performance
Jenny Slate from Saturday Night Live briefly, and then she had a small. She played a character on Parks and Recreation occasionally,
and she plays like these silly characters on these shows. And she has like a silliness to her in Obvious Child, but she doesn't. She's grounded, she's grounded in reality, and I just love her performance, and it made me love her. So that's Obvious Child. That's my number 10 pick.
Oh, that's kind of. I had seen that movie on Netflix. I think it was on Netflix for a little while, and I kind of just wrote it off. I didn't really hear anything about it. You never said anything about Obvious Child to me, so I didn't know if it was worth my time. But, interesting.
I enjoyed it when I watched it, and then when I was compiling the list, I'm like, I like that movie a lot. It deserves to be on the number 10 slot. It felt like a number 10 for me. You know,
she should be up for one of the best actresses, or
I think that because it wasn't a prestige type movie, she was never gonna come close. But in my opinion, does she deserve to be at least nominated? Yes, absolutely. So
cool. I'll have to check that one out.
Go ahead, number 10.
My number 10 also features a strong female lead, one that I kind of forgot when we were talking. Yeah, we have something in common here. This one that I forgot to include when we were talking about our Oscar nominees, the ladies, and just looking at, like you said, Julianne Moore, Rosamund Pike's up there. But this one is Only Lovers Left Alive from Jim Jarmusch.
Okay.
With Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston playing vampires in love. It's kind of like an adult's take on the vampire genre. Really subdued in its style. It's just I love the way that this movie looks. It has this incredibly and almost intoxicating look, and it's just it's a slow rolling movie. It takes you through Detroit. Like it looks like it's just modern day Detroit, where it's been hit hard by the economy and everything, and these guys are just doing their thing there, and they don't really go into the specifics about like what it's like to be alive for so long, because they've been alive since Shakespeare and before, But it's just about these two characters and how they how they live in this world and how they continue. Like, what's the point of living so long and like it gets old? Like there's talks about suicide and mortality and just really really interesting themes in this movie. Were you able to see this one?
It was always something I was gonna see, but just didn't get around to. But I am a fan of Jim Jarmusch's films. His heyday was in the 80s and early 90s. So it's really exciting to see him kind of back in the fold. And it's great to see, first of all, actors like Tilda Swinton and Hiddleston from the Avengers and everything like that.
Yeah, that was cool for me, too, to see Hiddleston outside of playing Loki, because really that's all I've seen is him as that character.
Although, it's interesting that you had Hiddleston in like a movie like this. You had Chris Evans in Snowpiercer. You had Chris Hemsworth. He was at least in that Michael Mann movie that bombed, but at least he tried. Mark Ruffalo is always in serious drama or indies. He was in.
Jr. was in The Judge, but that's not an indie. But
I was actually going to say Robert Downey Jr. However, doesn't seem to be taking as risky of roles like when he's not doing the Avengers. But whatever. Anyway, I shouldn't get too much into that. But great pick.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Who's your number 9?
Number 9 is James Gray's The Immigrant, starring Marion Cotillard, Joaquin Phoenix, and Jeremy Renner, also an Avenger.
Pronunciation.
Well, I was starting off with the Marion Cotillard. Yeah. So, Jeremy Renner, also an Avenger, also, made a movie like this, and I know you didn't really take to this movie like I did, and a lot of people didn't, but I really enjoy this film. I think it's a wonderfully made drama. That's the key. It's a wonderfully made drama. You know what I mean? They're not just straight up dramas anymore. Mm-hmm. At least American made, and it's just this really. It's a very lived in world. The world that 1920s New York, and it feels like worn in. You know, feel like it has that like sepia brownish look to it that is reminiscent of the flashback scenes of Godfather Part 2. That's what it immediately. That's what I felt like. I was watching another story taking place in that type of world, which is obvious, you know, kind of what it is, you know, because New York City in the early 1900s. And I think Maria Conti. All right, here's another movie that's centered on a female character, and I love her performance in this film. You know, she plays a Polish immigrant who's, you know, you really kind of get to see like the harsh realities of what it actually is like to be an immigrant in America in the early today, or 80 years ago, or 90 years ago, or 100 years ago, and watching her kind of try to find her way through this foreign world to her, and to have her strength and convictions to, you know, no matter what is happening to her, she's always concerned about just finding her sister and getting her sister back, and, you know, family is very important to her, and despite all that she goes through, there's a nobleness to her, and there's a strength to her that I think was very palpable, and it really made the movie work for me. And the cinematography is just absolutely, you know, just gorgeous. And the movie begins with a beautiful shot of the Statue of Liberty, and ends with a wonderful mirror type shot with Joaquin Phoenix, you know, kind of like, you know, in this dark room, and you see Marion Cotillard and her sister kind of walking away. You know, it's just a wonderful contrast. It's rich with meaning, and I really love this film, and it's a film that tells so much of its story visually. You know, it's a very visually rich film.
Yeah. And
I feel like it kind of takes all of James Gray's themes from like modern day New York. You think of The Yards, you think of We Own the Night, you think of Two Lovers. And what's kind of, I feel like his films always kind of sneak up on you, because they do kind of feel, I want to say standard, in that like there's nothing, he doesn't try to dazzle you. You know, his movies are pretty straightforward. You know, they, you know, point A to point B to point C. You know, there's no Christopher Nolan Inception thing going on with his types of movies. You know, they're kind of straightforward. But in that, he finds these thematically richness in his films.
He's not trying to wow you in that way, and he's giving you the straightforward story, and that's what's impressive about it.
Yeah, because that's what I find impressive about all his movies, is that like in its straightforwardness, there's like this simplicity to his films. You know, they kind of have they kind of work on its it kind of works on its own terms, and it reminds me of another great film of this year that probably is on your list, which is The Most Violent Year. I feel like if James Gray found out James Gray was actually the director of the movie instead of J.C. Chandor, you would have been surprised, because he kind of similar territory.
I was thinking about that, like movies that looked really, really good, and that's they too, like, they have that yellowish sepia to the cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great pick. I know that when we first talked about The Immigrant, I wasn't too high on it, but the more that I think about it, like if we were to say do a top 15 list for whatever reason, like because we like odd numbers or something, it would be up there, because you know, the movie stuck with me, and I was thinking back to what I really, really enjoyed this year, and that's definitely one of them. That's one of my honorable mentions. It just missed the cut for me.
Okay. All right. So what's your number 9?
My number 9 is going in a different direction. There are no powerful women in this movie.
Oh, no.
It's Damien Chazelle's Whiplash.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Got Miles Teller playing a young drummer going to this prestigious Juilliard-type school, and he's under the tutelage of J.K. Simmons' asshole professor, who just pushes his students too far. I don't know. We devoted a whole episode to reviewing Whiplash, but I think this movie was just so intense at certain times that I caught myself like flexing my muscles because I didn't know what was going to happen. Not that I didn't know what was going to happen, but just because I was so in it. And I think that Chazelle did really well, especially with this is his first movie, so to be able to execute on that kind of a level on your first time out, bravo, and looking forward to what else we have to see from him. There are things about it that I wasn't crazy about, but because of how powerful the performances were and because of how powerful the story was, I had to include it in my list just because, the way that I grade movies is like, did this movie make me feel something? Did this movie stick in my mind? Is this an unforgettable movie? And Whiplash is all those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great pick. Would be an honorable mention for me. It's funny because I felt like when we were reviewing it, I felt like I liked the movie more than you did. But in the process of reviewing it together, I realized some of the things that didn't quite work in the movie were kind of sticking in my craw more, thinking back on it from when I saw it in October. I was like, wait a minute, you're right. I mean, the scenes with J.K. Simmons are fantastic, and Miles Teller also gives a great performance. But there is kind of a drop intensity, a severe drop intensity, when J.K. Simmons is not on the screen. And for me, that makes it there's still a lot of power in the film, but I wouldn't say it's cohesive, completely cohesive, as it could have been. And that's why I think it'd be like number 14 for me, instead of in my top 10. But still a great pick, obviously. I mean, if it's 14, it's still pretty damn good. So, yeah, great pick. And, you mentioned Chazelle with a great debut film, directorial debut. An Obvious Child was also a debut film from Gillian Robespierre. So it's always good to see, like, someone with their first film kind of come out with, like, come out strong, so that's great. Let's keep the train rolling, right?
Sounds good to me. Who's your number 8?
Number
8.
Number 8 might surprise you because I was a little bit lower on this film than you were. We actually talked about this film in this podcast before, so there's a little hint right there. And yeah, but I saw it a second time since we talked, and things that I thought I wasn't too crazy about the first time around, it all kind of balanced out and made sense to me a lot more second viewing, and I actually really enjoyed the second viewing a lot. So much so that I was like, wait a minute, how much do I love this movie? Do I really love it? But since it's not there yet, it's not up to, like, number 1, but it's David Fincher's Gone Girl. That's what I'm talking about right here. And yeah, if you listen to what I said about it the first time around, I thought it was two great halves that make up a good whole. And I still think it's really a tale of two halves. It's really a tale of two movies. But I don't view it as a detriment anymore. Because overall, I found there to be an overall satirical slant to the film that I didn't see the first time around. And that overall satirical slant kind of made it more cohesive and made it blend together more. And I thought the second viewing, it was hilarious for me. It was funny because I was watching it with my wife. She hadn't seen it yet. So she was kind of
laughing.
So she's terrified and I'm laughing and she thinks I'm insane. But I think this movie is very, very devilishly funny.
When he's getting his throat slit, all right? When are you laughing? Are you laughing at these terrible parts?
I mean, that's like the devilishness to it, though, because it's so devilishly evil. You're just like, you just can't help but like, not. I didn't maybe laugh, but I was like shaking my head and smile. I was like, man, because first of all, it's so well done. Yeah. Although I would say there's the similarities between that scene and Girl with Dragon Tattoo when she's like. When she gets raped and then
who's raping her.
Yeah. So, but I do think it's interesting because I think
those are similar scenes. What does she kill him with in Dragon Tattoo?
Did she kill him?
Or does she just beat the shit out of him?
She puts a dildo in his butthole.
There you go.
Please don't take that out of context. Dildo in the butthole. But yeah, but I would say that I do think Fincher has a different enough approach for that scene to work. Because it's like flashes of images. It's like wow, wow. I don't know if you remember, but it's the combination of the music and the editing and what was going on. That scene is perfectly executed, and I think it has similarities to that Jack the Tattoo scene, but I think Fincher did himself better. Actually, I mean, it's like what horrible sex scene is he gonna depict next time? You know, but yeah. So I think it's a very much more cohesive than I thought it was. But more than that, the satire really came through for me, and it's just it's a great procedural. The first half. And the second half is just so wonderfully pulpy and sexy or anti-sexy in all the best ways. And I just think it's a great film that becomes much better once you know what you're really going to get. So there you go.
All right, good pick. My number 8 might surprise you because it's a movie that's pretty high on a lot of people's end of the year lists. And that's what makes this so difficult, like, I feel like these top 10 lists, they're so, like, how do you rank these ones? Like, for me, 8 to 1, it's just, like, they're just below each other, and really, it's just me, it's just how I'm liking them, how they're, affecting me as movies, but, my number 8 is, another debut, to continue with that trend, it's, Dan Gilroy's Nightcrawler.
Okay.
Yeah, this was actually, what, episode 1? Our first episode we were talking? I think it was
2.
1 or 2? Okay.
1 was Gone Girl, 2 was Nightcrawler.
Okay, there you go. Refresh my memory. But Jake Gyllenhaal, playing this young, ambitious man. And it's a portrayal like I've never seen from him before. And it really showed me that he's capable of really just losing himself in a role. You see signs of that, I guess, in Zodiac. That's another really good performance. But, I don't know. He's had great roles before. I don't want to knock what he's done in the past, Brokeback Mountain, even go back to when he was, younger. But, this, I guess maybe it's just the fact that he was so physically in this role. He lost the weight, and he's just got this intense facial expression. His eyes just pop. But, you're there with him. I think he's in every scene. As he's
I think so
coming, as he's entering this world of kind of like TMZ style, not with celebrities but with tragedies, where they're looking for car accidents, they're looking for violence and blood, what's going to make the news the next morning, and you leave your morals at home when you go out to do this kind of work. And he's just a guy who won't let anything get in his way. And the way that the story is told is just a very, very cohesive, well-done story. And I can't believe that it's this guy's first movie. Yeah. And, that's my pick. That's my number 8.
Well, that's a pretty damn good pick. Who knows? Maybe it's on my list. We'll see. But,
I'd be surprised if it wasn't. I know. We both really like this movie.
So my number 7, because I think you guys know what that means. My number 7 is the only foreign entry on my list. There was almost two, but this one I couldn't. It was undeniable for me. It's probably the most perfectly shot film of the year. It's short, but in it, it's really packed with a lot of emotion and a lot of I feel like there's a lot going on, and it's Paweł Pawlikowski's Ida from Poland, and 80 minutes, black and white, about a soon-to-be nun who finds out the truth about what her finds out the truth about her family. And the story didn't grab me so much when I was watching it, but thinking back, it just became more and more powerful to me. Just because, again, it is kind of an unassuming type of movie. The way it's framed, it feels like paintings, like moving paintings for me. Yeah. Just the way it's so perfectly framed. But in that, I feel like there's a distance. There's an emotional not an emotional distance, but there's a distance But I feel like there's intent there. There's a real intent in what Pawlikowski is trying to do there, because there's intent in every single shot. I feel like has specific meaning. The shots with like the excess headspace with the title character always makes it seem like there's something above her. There's something there, and it's a very kind of spiritual film. Very kind of very heavy religious subtext and context that's not too overpowering. It's never overpowering. It's just part of the story, and yeah, it's a quiet film, and it's very unassuming, but in that quietness there is like this power and emotion, especially in the final scene when.
Careful, because I haven't seen it.
In the final scene when Ida finally decides what she's gonna do, that's what I'm gonna say. She finally makes a decision. That's all I'll say. But yeah, Justyn, you haven't seen it yet, right? But you look at this film, and I think you'll be marveling at just how it's the composition, the framing itself. Like you can just watch this film with the sound off and the closed captions, the subtitles off, and you would still be struck by how beautiful this film looks. But it just so happens to have this really powerful story attached to it, and to combine those two, I almost feel like, why isn't it higher? And I might be questioning that in a few months or a few years, maybe.
Yeah, when you're looking back.
But as it is now, I mean, it easily deserves a spot on my top 10 list. It's number 7. It's Ida from Poland.
Nice. The way you say it, it's like that's the whole title. Ida from Poland. Ida from Poland.
Ida. Ida or Ida? I think it's Ida, though.
It's Ida. And yeah, I'm hearing more and more about that movie. It's definitely made my, goddammit, I wish I'd seen this before making my top 10 list. But yeah, good pick. Making me want to watch it. Make me want to hang up on you right now and actually go watch it. It's on I've got Amazon Instant Video, and I think it's on there. It might be on Netflix too.
It was on Netflix when I saw it.
Yeah.
So
okay,
there you go.
So that's your number 7. My number 7 is Under the Skin from Jonathan Glazer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I like a good movie that when you watch it, you're just like you're just talking about marveling at the screen.
Right.
You get shots like that in Under the Skin for sure. And also it's just a movie that sometimes just makes you like, what the fuck am I watching? What is this? Definitely got some inspiration from Kubrick, to the point where I'm wondering if this is an homage to Kubrick or just like a blatant rip-off of Kubrick. But,
I wouldn't go that far. I mean,
well, because like some of the stuff is very obvious. Like the intro, it just
like some 2001 type.
Yeah, it reminded me of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and then just some of the cinematography, like very very cold. But not to focus too much on that. It tells a story about this this young woman played by Scarlett Johansson, and in the beginning you just see her working with or just driving around in this van. You still there? Okay. She's driving around in this van, picking up these guys, or trying to pick up these guys, and you're not sure, exactly what's going on or what she wants to do, and it's cool to see like all these like non-actors, and it seems very real world, like the environment that she's in, and that's something that I appreciated about it. And then from there, it just goes off in this different direction when she starts to wonder who or what she is and what her purpose is, and when she tries to break away from that, bad things happen to her. But yeah, easily my favorite performance from Scarlett Johansson, and it's kind of one where she's not really trying all that hard. She's kind of just letting it happen. And that's something I appreciate.
Well, like almost a suitably blank expression the entire time. I mean, that's kind of what the role was calling for, because she's an alien after all. And great pick. It might be on my list too. And we're definitely gonna talk more about that too. Hold on, I got a phone call. Hold on, I might have to take this.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? I don't have to take this. This is 800 number. Never mind. It's fucking one of those DirecTV scam things. I've had.
Important. Hold on, I got it. Jerry, hey.
Jerry Seinfeld. Hey, how's it going? Dude, you've been frozen on my screen for a while. Should I just give up on the video part?
You're fine for my screen.
All right, fine. If you want to check me out.
Oh.
All right.
Frozen?
You know, we're kind of. I feel like we're blasting through this, aren't we? We're kind of blasting through. This is way faster than our top 10 of the decade. So this is.
Yeah, we're going a little faster.
This is good. No, it's good. Yeah. It makes me wonder if we should. I'm almost kind of. I'm all kind of pumped, but we're going to do 10 to 6, and then the 2015s and 5 to 1, right? You still want to do that?
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, fine. All right, well, you know, this is going to be a good one to end the first part of the list on. It might be a surprise to you, but this is how good 2014 was, because number six on my list is. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Paul Thomas Anderson's Inherent Vice. Yes, wow. It's number 6. I mean, to people who aren't us, they'd be like, yeah, all right, why wouldn't it be number 6? But, I mean, we were really anticipating this movie. Sure. And so, for some reason, it feels like a letdown that's number 6, but that's not...
Kind of, but I hear what you're saying, yeah.
That's not a reflection on the movie at all. It's a reflection on how great this year was. And... I would say probably the reason why it's not number 1 is because I feel like it's not that kind of movie. It's I really don't think it's the type of movie that should be put on the pedestal. It's not a movie. Big Lebowski wasn't an Oscar player, and neither is this. You know, it's a really great, laid back, lazy stoner type of comedy. There's a lot going on. You know, we talked about it for a whole entire episode. You know what I mean? But, you know, when it comes down to it, it's just this really well made, exceptionally made film that's kind of a stoner comedy, you know, and it's probably the best looking stoner comedy you'll ever see. You know what I mean? And, you know, watching it second time, you know, scene by scene, it's just, there's so much going on. There's so much depth to this film. And probably more depth than even you or I have even realized at this point. And it's definitely going to be a film that we're always going to return to. I want to see it again right now, and I've been wanting to see it again since I saw it the second time. So there's a really strong rewatchability for me, which makes me wonder if it should be higher. But you know, it is what it is. And but yeah, it's a fantastic film. I think in episode 8, I didn't really go into just how amazing the performances are in this film. But Joaquin Phoenix, Josh Brolin, Reese Witherspoon, even Catherine Waterston.
Catherine Waterston. Mm-hmm.
So many great performances, and that scene near the end with Catherine Waterston and Joaquin Phoenix. Whoa, baby! Is that not the sexiest scene of last year? I would say so. When you know. She's naked, you know.
Ooh, girls. It's a very uncomfortable scene for the two of them because Phoenix almost looks uncomfortable because Doc's like, first of all, where have you been? Mm-hmm. And second of all, like I've got this girl that I'm seeing that I'm not really serious about. Like I'm in love with you, and now I don't know if you've ever. I've been in that situation before.
That exact situation? Oh my god!
Not the exact situation, but where you got a girl that you used to be with. And you think that that's over, and then it happens. It's very uncomfortable, and it's very, I don't know, it can make you almost nervous. So I totally understand how, you know, how he might be uncomfortable, or how he was uncomfortable. And she, this is like after she had been subject to somebody else, like, dominating her for so long. So now it's kind of like she's taking the reins back and she's just like giving it to him. And it's not even like the fact that she's naked so much. Like the first time, yeah. But the second time, it's like she's saying these things, these hurtful things.
Right.
Really getting to him. Mm-hmm. And so that just adds a second element to what makes it uncomfortable. But yeah, the fact that it's just so stark and just there she is and she's not hiding anything. And it's not even like she's dolled up. It's not meant to be sexy. You know, she's naked. She's a very attractive woman, but her face, she's miserable. She looks very like devastated. So, all right. So yeah, my number 6. This is after this this is going to be the last one. And then we're going to take a little break. But yeah, my number 6 is one that you just mentioned not too long ago. It's Gone Girl from David Fincher, and you know, I don't know what else to say about this movie other than I liked that it took a satirical approach to the news culture. I liked that it gave you two big sections, really kind of three, because in the beginning you're looking at, where is, what was her name, Amy Dunn, Amazing Amy? Yeah. Where's Amy? What happened to Amy? And, it's all about Ben Affleck. The second portion is all about Rosamund Pike and what's been going on. And then it kind of dawned on me, like the second viewing, you don't see them together until the very, very end of the movie. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of an interesting thing because it's all about their marriage. And once they're finally together in real time, it's just this uncomfortable mess and all these emotions. And I don't know, just one that like I said, we talked about it in depth and detail, but definitely one of my faves. My number 6. Great performances, great direction, great look. Of course, the cinematography is always great, but it was great. It was so great.
It's just great.
Gone Girl, David Fincher, number 6.
Remember the Saturday Night 40 anniversary? Whenever Alec Baldwin does Tony Bennett, he's like, Gone Girl is really just a great movie. That's what that reminded me of. That's just a great. It's just so great. But obviously it's a great pick, and I think a lot of praise was given to Rosamund Pike's performance when it came out, but I feel like we haven't heard much about that praise in a while. So I'm going to reopen that box of praise and say that Rosamund Pike was pretty damn fantastic in this film, Gone Girl. And you could see it even more the second viewing. And again, like, I got the humor in her performance the second time. There's just like the dementedness.
She is kind of funny, yeah. Like when she's there on the couch and I can't remember the guy. He's hosting the damn Oscars on Sunday. What's it? Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris, yes.
Like the scene where the two of them are. She's trying to watch Nick on TV doing that interview with not Nancy Grace, but I guess it's like the Barbara Walters type of interview. Anyway, so she's watching on TV and like Neil Patrick Harris is just trying to get her attention, trying to let's turn this off. Let's do something else. And she's just like, shut up, I'm into this. Like, and it's just comical the way that she's trying to ignore him, and I think she shoots him a look at one point or something. It's just
you knew something was going to go down between those two. You knew that she had a trick up her sleeve. You just didn't know what was going to happen. Wow. I mean, and I get really perfectly justified. That scene with Ben Affleck and Scoot McNairy. When he was like her previous boyfriend and all the shit that she did to him, and so like all that, like there's like a sense of foreshadowing, because you're like, wow, she really goes bananas on these when she wants to. What is she going to do with Neil Patrick Harris now that we see that he's kind of a creep,
Yeah.
And you still the left turn. I mean,
is that his name in the movie, Scoot?
No, that's the character, Scoot McNairy.
That's the character.
Actor, yeah, actor Scoot McNairy. He played the boyfriend in New York, right?
Oh, that the other guy that he visits, her other. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about. Though, like that scene, it's kind of like foreshadowing. Like, oh wow, look at the stuff that she did to him.
Yeah.
So when the scenes between her and Neil Patrick Harris and him coming off as creepy and everything like that, and kind of giving out the illusion that she can't go anywhere. You kind of see, like, you're like, okay, the other shoe is going to drop at any moment, and and throat slit. That's what happened. And you mentioned the when they're together at the end. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I always started laughing like a lot more, especially those lines of dialogue. When he's like, "This is fucked up," and she's like, "That's marriage." And you're just like, "Oh my, this is just beautiful. It's really beautiful." And you know what? Screw all those people who think the ending is weak. It's not. It's really not. It's the ending is so necessary. Like, how would you? A lot of people are like, "Oh, the ending sucked." It's like, how would you have done it? Like, seriously.
Right. I was watching it with my sister and a couple friends, and they were like, they should have just ended it when she was walking back to the house. And I was like, are you kidding? Are you kidding me?
How would that be better? I feel like more people would be complaining about that ending.
People would be like, "Oh, fuck this movie! It just ends like that."
Yeah, you
I want to know what happens.
It's
like, and that's when it dawned on me that you have never seen them actually talk to each other. You know, in like unless it was a flashback. So it's like here they are. She's coming home covered in blood, and you want the movie to end right there? Mm-hmm. Come on.
With her like winking at the camera, like like remember, you ever seen that South Park episode where Cartman needs to be tamed or controlled, and so because he's too wild, and his mother tries to hire these super nannies to take care of him, but he winds up like saying something to them or doing something to them that makes them run from the house.
Yeah.
And finally, after all that, I can't remember what Cartman's mother's name is, but she's finally Mrs. Cartman. And she's like, "Please, Eric, you have to change." And he's like, "All right, mother, I'll change." And then at the very end, he's been such a good boy, and so she's like, "Do you want some ice cream? You want me to take you to a show?" And yada yada yada. You want to come with me? And she's spoiling him again because he's acting so nice.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Yes, mother, I'd love to, mother." And they give a hug, and he gives like a knowing, like, evil grin to the camera or the camera.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh no, Cartman's back."
Does it like slowly zoom in on it? Like,
I think so. So like, is that what you wanted in Gone Girl? You wanted it to be basically South Park, you know what I mean? Which great show, but like, different levels of ambition there, So yeah, people always. I think the thing is, and I think I even had a hint of hesitation from my initial viewing. I was like, because not the ending itself. I actually like the ending. I always like the ending, but just overall the movie itself. And I feel like people don't like it anymore when a movie makes them feel something, like actually feel something. They're like, "Hey, that actually makes me feel a thing in
Those are my feelings.
Those are my feelings. What do you do with my feelings?" And Gone Girl's take on marriage is so twisted and so demented and so satirical, which you get that second time around, that I feel like people are kind of like, "Okay, this is too much," or it's like, "I don't even need to see this. Why are we even seeing this?"
Right.
Or you know what I mean? And
I
it's
can
just
easily see how people might have that like reaction to the movie.
because
I like that.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry. No.
No, because like a lot of people they don't even want to like approach the idea that something could actually make them like a moment from a movie could actually make them feel something. So they just reject it outright. They're like, "No, it's not for me."
That's the whole point. That's what movies are supposed to do. They're supposed to elicit a response, make you feel something. What I got from it, and like you said, like the second time around, when you know what's going to happen, you can really just appreciate the little things about the movie, the performances, the nuances of the characters. But you've got these two characters that are just trying to win the whole time. Ben Affleck's trying to clear his name. He's trying to beat her. Once he figures out what she's doing, he's trying to outwit her. He's going on the show. He's playing the playing the character, and then she is trying to beat him during the first half, like trying to set him up for murder and all this. And at the very end, it's like he doesn't even want to play anymore. It's kind of funny. He's just like, "Ugh, get away from me!" And she's just like, she's just become this whole other monster. And it's weird how like these people were married for years and lived in each other's company. You come home to somebody every day, and you don't, is it possible that they can do that to you? How they can turn on you? You think you know somebody, especially your wife or your husband, and they had a really good, like the part where they're, in the library and stuff like that, and all those like the games that they would play. Like it seems like they had a really close marriage. So it just goes to show that you don't always know who you're sleeping next to. So on that note, we're going to take a couple minutes here, and when we come back, we're going to talk about some movies to look forward to in the coming year.
Of 2015.
2015.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I know.
We're in the mid... Wait, listen to what? What? I'm listening to. What am I listening to? What are you listening to? What is everyone listening to? The long take, baby.
No, what did you want to say, though? I don't want to... End it on that note.
2015. Like, what the fuck is happening? 2015? It's the mid-2010s. We're in the middle of this.
Yeah, it's going to be 2020. 2020. Isn't that a show? They're going to have the 2020.
You know what? I'm gonna end that segment there with you. 2020, isn't that a show? Diane Sawyer.
Bitches.
You know what? I'm not gonna end on that because I sound like a dick right there. But yeah, there is a show called 2020, Justin. You're right.
you sound like more of a dick now.
All right, let me try again. Yeah, Justin, there's a show called 2020.
Are you doing a Kevin impression? The Office?
Oh, right. Justin, there is a show called 2020 on ABC, starring Diane Sawyer. I like her. I think she has a nice butt.
That's unreal how good you are at that impression.
I'm so amazing. All right. We'll be back.
We'll be back. You're listening to the long take.
Let's do a news anchor laugh. That's hilarious. We'll be right back. Or sports, all right, I'll stop right there. Sorry, guys, you can't hear this part of the conversation. And hello, everybody. Welcome back to the long take. We are going to get back into our list of the top 10 movies of 2014. But first, let's recap our list. Justin, your number 10 was?
Let's see. For my number 10, I had Only Lovers Left Alive. My number 9 was Whiplash. Number 8 was Nightcrawler. Number 7 was Under the Skin. And number 6, Gone Girl. What about you?
Number 10 for me is Julian Robespierre's Obvious Child. Number 9 is The Immigrant. Number 8 is Gone Girl. Number 7 is Ida. And number 6 is Paul Thomas Anderson's Inherent Vice. All right?
All right. So we're all recapped.
Just in case you guys forgot. Now,
just in case you weren't paying attention.
There you go. All right. So, you know what? No, I said my number 10 first. And what happens is my number 1 will be second. Well, will be the. Okay, so you know what, Justin? Why don't you?
I'll start it. Yeah, because you started last, and then I ended that segment. So I'll start this, and then you.
Yes.
You'll have the last.
I will have the last word.
So
I shall have.
I am. I feel like I'm gonna get elicit some kind of like a shocked response here because my number 5 is a lot of people's number 1s, and a lot of people are expecting this movie to do big things on Sunday. But I'm gonna go ahead and say my number 5, which is Richard Linklater's Boyhood. Yeah, that's exactly what I was. You gasped. I expected you to gasp. And like I said, my from 8 to 1, it's like these movies are so close. But it's just like, which movie did I enjoy more? And like I enjoyed Boyhood so much. I loved it. I loved that it seamlessly went from a little kid to a young adult, and it didn't make a big deal about it. It wasn't like. It could have easily been cheesy. It could have easily been a disaster. But because Linklater, his hands are all over this movie, and he just sets the tone, and it's got great music, and it's something like this has never been done. It's just an incredible story, and I know we're going to talk about it again because you haven't mentioned it yet. So. We'll save it for.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that was a great start to the conversation, and maybe we'll finish it at some point on this show. Mm. But that's a good pick. Good movie. Not sure about the placement on the list, but hey, that's your opinion, so I have to respect it. I don't know why I have to respect it, but that's what people say. So number 5 from my list is, I'll just go ahead and say it. Wes Anderson's Grand Budapest Hotel, number 5. Yes. Probably one of I feel like Wes Anderson has hit such a stride, and his films are just getting more Wes Anderson-like, and yet I'm enjoying them even more. Because I think what happened is, in the beginning of his career, he started out making some really great films, but there was more of a dramatic element to them. Especially Rushmore has more dramatic element than I remembered, because I saw it a couple of months ago, and I was like, oh, there is a lot of serious moments to this movie. It does take a lot of time to be serious. And then Royal Tenenbaums is like, I mean, there is funny moments to Royal Tenenbaums, but it's a pretty dark film. And then the middle of his career, it felt like he was going darker, like trying to hit that Royal Tenenbaum sweet spot, but never quite succeeding like he did with Royal Tenenbaums. But then Fantastic Mr. Fox comes along, and all of a sudden, like the comic spirit of Wes Anderson just comes out and explodes all over the place. And yet he's continued his craft. He's continued building toward, like, making his films even more dollhouse and more quirky and more Wes Anderson-like, And then that continued with Moonrise Kingdom, but Grand Budapest Hotel is literally like a dollhouse. It takes place in a hotel and involves all these things that Wes Anderson's so fond of. Gustav H., the concierge, who's very particular about everything that he does, very particular about what he wears, very particular about pretty much everything. And beyond all that, it's just, he's so funny. It's a very funny film. And, just the humor. What I would say is that Wes Anderson's changed in how he approaches his humor, because while there's a lot of subtleness to some of the humor in Grand Budapest Hotel, some of it is very like off the cuff. Like there's a lot of like off the cuff moments where it's just like when he just escapes prison and he meets with Zero again, and he like Zero has none of the things that Gustav H prepared for him. He does nothing, so he's like, "What's wrong with you?" He chastises Zero, and then Zero explains like where he came from and like all his parents died and all the things that happened to him in his life. And then Gustav's like, "Well, I pretty much take back everything I just said." He's like, "Well, now I feel like an idiot, and I completely take back everything I just said." Just like that, the way he's able to cut like through the drama like that with something like off the cuff, like I said, is just something that I really, really enjoyed about this film. It allows for moments where like the characters just have like these brief asides. You know what I mean? On top of everything else, they have these little jokes like within themselves, or like or within the movie. Like Wes Anderson allows time for like the Cross Keys, the Society of Cross Keys. That whole thing, the way the whole thing plays out, it almost like an endless rabbit hole. With like hey, here, you take over, here, you take over. But and what's great is that like he's very confident in how he allows like famous actors to show up. You would wonder if like it would distract from the movie, but because Wes Anderson's films are so specific and so of his style, and because these characters are so well dressed, they fit into like the mold. You're not like, oh my god, that's Bill Murray. You're like, oh, of course it's Bill Murray. Of course it's Bob Balaban, or I can't remember who the other ones were that were in the Cross Keys. But yeah, he'll just, Edward Norton will just show up in the film, and it's just like he's part of the film. Like he's
just a character.
Exactly, and so it's great. You have all these great cast members, all these great actors, and they fit so seamlessly. They fit seamlessly in Moonrise Kingdom,
even when they don't really fit. Like Harvey Keitel's doing like a Brooklyn accent, and he's supposed to be.
That's right. Yeah.
And it
really doesn't matter, and that's what I love about it. And and you have like someone like Willem Dafoe, who at this point of his career, you don't think he would take like this mostly wordless kind of almost like small role, but there he is, and like he I'd never seen him be funnier than how he is in this movie, even though he plays like this really tough guy.
It's all in his face.
He's still hilarious.
Some great facial expressions.
Yeah, it's a knockout type film. And again,
how many times have you seen it?
Twice.
Oh yeah, see, and you've seen it recently, haven't you? You watched it with Christine.
Yeah, my wife.
Yeah, see, I've only seen it once back. My wife.
For those of you who don't know,
I've only seen it once, and that was back when it was in theaters. So like we're talking about it, and it's reminding me of like the little things about it. I still remember loving the movie, but it's like I know I really need to watch this movie again. I want to buy it, but I know it's going to come out on Criterion, so I don't want to buy it twice.
So wait a minute, if you don't remember the movie very well, does that mean it's not on your list?
I didn't say that.
Oh.
I said I don't remember the little things.
The little things.
I remember really, really enjoying it. So I'll just say that.
All right. Well, then let's go into your number 4.
My number 4 is Alejandro Gonzalez Iñárritu's Birdman, or The Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance. And I will say that this movie was just a fun ride. It just took you through these alleys and backstage areas of like the seemingly one take, and kind of you get the sense that these characters they're kind of playing parodies of themselves almost, especially Ed Norton with because like I think I was listening to an interview where Iñárritu was talking about how he was talking with Ed Norton, and Ed Norton was kind of saying, oh, instead of doing this, maybe you should do this. And he's like, oh, that's so funny. That's like what your character does. And it's like, doesn't he know that Ed Norton's like notorious for this kind of thing? Like, he steps on the toes of the filmmakers. He tries to push his opinion in them. So, yeah, he's kind of doing a parody of himself, and it's great. Like, I think he's very in on the joke, and that just makes it that much better. And it's good to see Michael Keaton again, and he's great in this movie. Emma Stone's great in this movie. The music, the jazz drumming, and it's just, I don't know. Like, I like that. I like the fact that it's a weird movie, and this is the kind of movie that is getting multiple Oscar nominations, and it's getting a lot of acclaim, and a lot of people are going out to, and I'm sure after Sunday, a lot of people are going to go and see this movie. And I don't know, I feel like the climate has changed a little bit because it's kind of out there, so I'm glad that this is maybe the new. You got some weird movies here. Boyhood is an experimental movie. Birdman, Grand Budapest, they're movies that are taking chances, and especially Birdman, like the one take illusion. And I don't want to put too much emphasis on that, but really the movie lies in the performances, and the performances are amazing because they are a lot of these situations where you can't just cut. Let's try that again, because then you got to go back a ways. So Emma Stone surprised me pleasantly. She's an actress who I wasn't really sure. I knew that she had glimpses of really good stuff. Even going back to the movie with Michael Cera and
oh right, Superbad, Jonah Hill, thank you. And Superbad, small part, but she shines. And then Easy A I wasn't too crazy about, but she was good in it.
Like, she was good in it. Yeah, I wasn't too crazy about the movie, but she made the movie. And everything that she's been in, she's been like a shining light. She lights up the screen. She commands your attention. Yeah. And I'm really excited to see where her career goes. I'm working with Woody Allen and stuff. She's just the movie closes on her face, and she deserves it. She's a star. She's gonna be what's she gonna be? She's gonna be great. I feel like she already is great, and she's a part of why this movie is so great.
All right. Well, that's definitely an interesting choice. I did not, and it wouldn't be on my honorable mentions list. It's not on my list.
Yeah, I know you weren't too crazy.
I was not crazy about Birdman. Yeah, I mean, I just did not take to the style of the film, the approach, the way others have. I don't know. I felt it was a little bit heavy-handed in the way it approached the material. Even though it's a satire, and even though it's supposed to be a comedy, and even though there are funny moments to it, I thought the overall grand statement is a little bit more simple, a little bit more like silly than what it's trying to do. I just felt like the satire didn't feel as biting to me. It felt a little bit obvious in a lot of moments, especially like when he's talking to reporters, and he's gonna. He mentions Birdman 4. Oh, a Birdman 4? That kind of stuff. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really think the satire was as biting or as risky as.
You talk about the element of it where he's like kind of mocking the superhero movies and
yeah, I mean, there's a meta-ness that's like, oh yeah, that stuff is kind of real. It actually exists. It's like this movie's actually in our world, but I don't know. I just didn't find it to be as clever as the movie thought itself was. I didn't really take on to its supposed cleverness. I thought it was a little bit too on the nose with its satire to really justify that it's really different than when it's trying to do. Now, I will say that I don't care at all about like the way it portrays like the New York Times theater critic. It doesn't matter to me at all. I don't really think the film is really trying to make any grand statement about like the state of criticism or the state of blockbusters. I don't think it's trying to like thumb its nose about the blockbusters, although people say that. I don't think that at all, but I don't think it at all. I think there's some elements of that. But the long take, which is the name of this podcast.
It is.
I love long takes. I love a lot of long takes in general. but it's tough when you're constructing an entire movie out of a series of long takes to really get the really dramatic moments of the film, especially like there's that scene with him and his ex-wife.
Oh, from The Office.
Amy Ryan, right? Amy
Ryan.
Yeah,
Amy Ryan.
Which I just didn't. It didn't really. That scene just didn't really like. It wasn't as dramatically potent for me as it could have been if it was just shot traditionally or just shot in a different way. But because it's all the same style, it's all the same long take type style, I felt like not enough was really... I feel like there was a lot of visual opportunities that were almost missed. Like, there was some obvious visual richness to it, like, you know, when it transitions from moment to moment. But I just feel like there were some opportunities missed, actually. Because I felt like it's a very wordy film. It's a very wordy script. You know, and so sometimes to its credit and sometimes to its detriment. I feel like it's a little bit too wordy. You know, I feel like with long takes, what's great about them is what they can reveal visually. And I feel like there's just a lot, I don't know, I feel like there's some missed opportunities there to really reveal this film from a visual standpoint. I feel like it could have been less wordy. And you know what? That's Inarritu, at least thus far. His films can be just too much of something. You know, like Babel could just be too much, like trying to go for like the jugular, you know, or beautiful. Could be just
Maybe I just take to his films more than you do because like that was one of my favorite films of the past decade.
Yeah, we discussed that,
and you weren't too high on that movie either. I liked that, you know, like you say, some of the visuals could have been better. It's too wordy, but like the scene where it's him and his wife and they're talking. I like the fact that it's like you're just a fly on the wall. And this is just a discussion that you're witnessing, and it doesn't necessarily have to be presented in such a way that, you know, as cinematic as maybe you're used to, or maybe you want it to be.
It's not really about It's not really about being cinematic. It's about being dramatically interesting, dramatically potent. You know, just like more like I can really feel what's going on between these two characters. I just really feel much for Amy Ryan or for. Michael Keaton's character's like past. Like I didn't really have much of a connection to his character, even which is weird, right? Because it's really about him.
It's all about him.
But I just didn't connect. I mean, I am gonna try and see it again. Maybe I'll feel differently, but I really did not connect with the film. So, but hey, I mean, a lot of people like it, so I'm not gonna be a dick about it, but
I just have to agree to disagree.
I think we will. I mean, maybe we should. Maybe we shouldn't, jerk. I'm just kidding. But I always feel like that's what's funny, right? Because you feel like, oh, I disagree with you, then it's supposed to be really heated, like it is.
It's silly to debate. Like either you like it or you don't.
I know.
You know, I can't change your opinion. You can't change.
I don't know. I feel like one of these.
You make good points.
One of these days, we're gonna really get. I feel like we're gonna really. The claws are gonna come out someday. You know, if you were like, Boyhood sucks, I'd be like, what? You know what I mean? One day you're gonna have a Boyhood sucks opinion, or I'm gonna have a Boyhood sucks opinion, and you're gonna be like, you son of a bitch. You know, I don't know. I like drama. Not to the point where we don't talk to each other anymore, but you know, hey, you know, it's makes for a good podcast. That's all I care about. I just want a good podcast. Yeah. Any means necessary. All right, my number 4 is Ava DuVernay's Selma.
Yeah.
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic film. What's unique about it on my list, at least, is that, you know, it's a biopic, you know, but it's not really, though. You know, it's really about it's really about a specific moment in Martin Luther King's life. And yet, what's so beautiful about this film is how it takes, like, that specific moment, and yet you learn so much about Martin Luther King, who he was, and what he was like. You know, it was so fascinating to see, like, what his thought process was. You know, when someone says, like, you know, that biopic didn't work because I don't really feel like I got to understand the character, like, understand his mind. Selma, I feel like I really, really understood the mind of Martin Luther King. Not, like, to, like, a fantastical degree, but, like, you know, his decision to, like, the one time they're marching from Selma to Montgomery, and he stands up, or no, he kneels down first, stands back up, and then turns back. I didn't know about that part. I did not know that happened. And but you understand why he did it. and why he decides to do things to do, and like the difficulties he has with like Malcolm X, and like difficulties he has with the very march itself. Sometimes he has doubts, he has self doubt, and it's just so refreshing and so wonderful to really to have this like true story come to life in a way that feels like a real movie. It feels like a movie. It doesn't feel like the greatest hits of a dude's life. It feels like a movie. It feels like a
right, and that's like so many biopics. Fall under that where they're just showing you the highlights of a person's life.
Mm-hmm.
I liked this movie a lot. It's one of my honorable mentions. It didn't make my top 10 list. Well, teach their own.
Whoa,
but,
that was a really
the thing with
to each their own.
The thing with Selma that I really did appreciate was the fact that you're taking this character, this person, this person that you kind of take for granted when you learn about him in school, because you just say, Martin Luther King helped with the civil rights movement. There's a small, in February they'll tell you that he did some things and then black people voted, and that's kind of like the short version, and you don't realize that. When you really see it on the screen, that these people are risking their very lives, and the police and the government and everybody is telling them to stop, and they're doing it in spite of and then not only in spite of that, but in spite of his convictions, and he's a human being, and he wants to live and see his kids grow, and he knows that at any moment he might be shot and killed. It's powerful stuff. Like at the very end when. They're talking about like what happens to these people after this speech, and you cut to that one woman who says that she was driving guys home, and then she was stopped by the KKK, and she was killed like hours after the speech. Like very powerful stuff. Great, really good movie.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because I've made much has been made, and for me especially, you have the titles come up like what these people did after these events happened. Like you had that Imitation Game and American Sniper and yada yada yada, and just how like poorly done those moments were. Where it's like, wait, what? Now we get the credits. Now this is where the movie's going to end. But with Selma, the difference with that is like it makes no attempt. It's not. It's not going to be about him being assassinated. You already know it's not going to be a part of the story. With Imitation Game, you don't know if it's going to be about probably about Alan Turing dying, and for a good portion of the movie, you think you're going to see that because the movie takes place in 3 different time periods. You know what I mean? And one of those periods is towards the end of his life. So you're like, okay, well, we're going to see what happened to him at the end of his life. Well, not really. And then with American Sniper, right. Well, not really. Again, it closes it off. The doors close on that moment, and you're like, wait, what? But with Selma, with Selma though, it's not going to be about the assassination of Martin Luther King. So there's no letdown. Not like you have to see him being assassinated, but there's no cop out, And even with that, those titles, when those titles come up, like you said, there's a chilling aspect to it because after this happened, that woman died like what was it, 15 minutes later, or like a day later, or a couple days later? Like I think like a couple hours later, like on the way home that night. Like that's how you use that. That's how you're supposed to use that stuff. You should feel something. At least for dramas like that, you know what I mean? Not like you need it in like Animal House, but even Animal House, I mentioned Animal House because like they use that stuff to like a comic effect, like John Belushi's character winds up becoming like a senator or something like that, or like an Anchorman. Anchorman, like Steve Carell's character winds up becoming like an important politician. You know what I mean? Mm. So they use that to the right effect. And Selma, I feel like it actually used its end titles to the correct effect. You felt something about what the words were saying, and instead of just being like they died. You know what I mean? It's like
this is what happened.
This is what actually happened. So that's fascinating stuff, and I also like the stylistic approach to how you have this overall FBI element to it, where like because each moment
that was cool.
Martin Luther King, each scene where he appears in, like you see like the FBI file, like that's like the location where he is, or like the moment it's gonna happen is according to the FBI. So there's that aspect to it too, Like, everything's been recorded by the FBI. Everything's being monitored by the FBI. But they don't say that. Although they do kind of, like, mention that in a scene, like...
Yeah, it's subtle. But, like, the whole time, like, it made me, I don't know about you, but it made me think, like, they're watching him like he's a bad guy. Mm-hmm. And history is as proven or determined that he's a hero.
Right.
You know, that he's this figure to inspire the greater good. Mm-hmm. But... You know, it just kind of proves that like authority can get it wrong a lot of the time.
Right, and you get all that from it saying like Martin Luther King goes to Georgia. You know, you just from that. They perfectly use like because a lot of people like a lot of movies are just like now you're in New York City, New York. You know, like they just like their credits just kind of pop up, and you're like, okay, great, now we're in New York City. But like you get a whole other context to this, like beyond that. It's just that is so brilliant to me, and like. It just goes to show you how little you have to do to get information across in film. You know what I mean? It's just powerful stuff. Mm-hmm. So now I bet you probably regret not having it in your top 10.
No, I stand by my list, but it's definitely on the cusp. It's one of those. I'm allowed to love more than 10 movies. It sucks that I have to limit it.
You know what, Justin? To each their own. Charlize Theron. To each their own. No, because you said that before, and I felt like to each their own, and it's like, oh wait, I know that means like how you're saying it and what it means feel different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To each their own, bitch.
I don't mean anything. I didn't say that.
That's what it felt like. You know, in a light way. I don't think you actually think me as a bitch, but you know. All right, number three. Let's get to the big guns.
My number 3, Grand Budapest Hotel, Wes Anderson.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about this real quick. We just talked about it,
right?
But one of the things that I was thinking about when you were talking about what you liked about it was I like that there's a guy like Wes Anderson who's like a joke that not too many people, not even really a joke, but just like a visual style, how he used 3 different aspect ratios for 3 different time periods. That's just cool. That's just like something that, you know, you can appreciate. That there's a guy who's willing to just take that extra step because that's not completely unnecessary. And a lot of theaters probably were annoyed by that.
Yeah, probably.
I think some theaters didn't even bother changing the aspect ratio because they're like, well, forget that.
No, I think they had to. I mean, that's how. That's how it's shot. You can't really change an aspect ratio. You can't.
Well, things will be cut off.
That part, yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But like I said, only saw it once. Got to see it again so I can really give you some firm examples. But this all-star cast, like I think this is probably like looking at the cast in these movies. This is probably the most impressive cast that you're going to have looking back at the movies of 2014. Just looking at quality and quantity. To the point where like Tilda Swinton is just like a B character. She's not really. She's just there. Not even like more like a C character, but and unrecognizable. Barely any lines. But yeah, you've got all these people who work together for this to this meticulously crafted machine. And his movies are kind of like that. They're kind of like this artfully crafted, like a clock or something. Like everything has its place. Everything has its purpose. And it's kind of like. It kind of reminds me of Inherent Vice a little bit because it has this like really convoluted plot, a lot's going on, but the difference is that this one ends all neat and tidy and like everything kind of works out for the audience's benefit. It's a movie that resolves itself. Funny as hell. You already mentioned that. He collaborated a lot early in his career, if I'm not mistaken. And now in his career, I guess he's finding his own. This and Moonrise Kingdom, he wrote alone, right? They're his screenplays.
The script, he co-wrote the story with Hugo Guinness with Grand Budapest Hotel, but he wrote the script by himself. This is the first film that he made where he's a sole credited screenwriter. Pretty impressive stuff.
Just visually impressive. Wonderful story, wonderful acting, and just fun to watch. Just a fun movie. Great movie.
Number 3 for me is going to be. What do you think?
I don't know what you're going to do.
Because you probably have an idea what the last 3 movies on my list are going to be, right?
Yeah.
But number 3 is going to be Nightcrawler, Dan Gilroy. I put it at number 3 because you know why? It's a number 3 type of movie. That's why. I don't know. I'm being a jerk. I don't know. All right. But no, seriously though, this is one of the most impressive, fantastic directorial debuts that I've seen in a long, long time. It is such a biting satire, such a excruciating satire. The way it just completely gets to the core of what's wrong with news media, especially television news media, and just the lack of ethics, lack of morality. And yet they could do this and be very didactic and very overwhelming and overbearing, but there's a dark humor to Nightcrawler. It's a very deliciously funny film. Like Gone Girl, it's deliciously funny, deliciously funny. You know when Jake Gyllenhaal's character drags a body on the floor to get a better shot. That's darkly funny stuff. It's terrifying, but I thought that was funny. It was a really funny moment. And a lot of people kind of credit or kind of use the scene where he and Rene Russo are kind of making lovey-dovey dialogue to each other towards the very end. I thought that was funny. I thought that was the moment where the movie was at its satirical high point. And I feel like a lot of people actually didn't really get that it's a black comedy. It's a dark comedy. It's a satire. Of course she would be aroused by this footage. There's nothing about her character that's ever suggested that she wouldn't be aroused by something like that, because that's what she wants. That's what the news media wants. I feel like, again, we talk about Gone Girl being extreme. That's an extreme moment in the film that makes a very, very strong point. That these are the type of people who run these organizations. They crave this violence. They crave the violence. And here you are. And you know what I thought about since we talked about it last time? The movie puts the finger at us, doesn't it? Because it has this car chase scene. It has the big action moment where and you're oh wow, oh my god, Jake Gyllenhaal and his partner in crime or whatever, really going after these guys. But then what happens? The partner in crime gets shot, and I feel like that was almost like a jab against us. It's you really enjoyed this moment. Well, this is what's going to happen. You know what I mean? I feel like the movie kind of turns the camera back at us. And I don't know. I think I love movies like that. I think I like movies that kind of that do it in a way where they're getting away with it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of movies try and do that and it doesn't work at all. So when it does work, it really, you think about Zero Dark 30 or something like that. Where they points the finger at us. When it works, how you feel, it's just. You're just wow, you're kind of am I a dick? You know what I mean? You just kind of it makes you question yourself, makes you question how you take the news, how you take entertainment news, how you take things in news media, how you take these things for granted. Because we really do. We just sit there, we watch the TV, and we just accept that these things are happening. And I think the movie is just as much an indictment on us as it is the news media. And it's a fantastic film. Like you said, Jake Gyllenhaal gives an amazing performance. Rene Russo should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actress. I stand by that statement. And you have some great small roles like Bill Paxton. He's just awesome.
That's right. He is in that. I totally forgot he was in that.
Yeah, and and I can't remember the actor who played his partner in crime, but it's just a fantastic film, and I can't wait to see it again. And
I really want to see it again too, because I feel like maybe it's been so long, and that's maybe why it's so low on my list. Because I do remember walking to the theater and just loving that movie, but gotta give it another shot. Gotta give it another viewing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so that concludes episode 10 of The Long Take. Stay tuned for episode 11, where Justyn and I finish our top 10 movies of 2014. And I'm gonna start recording right now.